Okay, so for today's project, you need a few things. First, you're gonna need a pair of hoops to stitch around. I use some 35mm hoops. You can use gold or silver. You're gonna need some wire in a 24 gauge that matches the metal tone of your earrings. So if you're doing silver, you need silver and not the gold. I recommend using a bead stopper, and you want some fishing line. I used a 12-pound clear fishing line. And then you want some seed beads. These are an 8/0. This is our Fiesta mix to make our Fiesta flower earrings. And then as far as tools go, you need some wire cutters, and you would need some flat nose pliers to help you squish down the ends. But that's pretty much all you need. So, oh, and a few crimps. You need a couple of crimp tubes as well. So that's all your materials. Let's jump into this project. Okay, so I have 2 feet of a 12-pound clear fishing line that I'm going to use to be creating my beadwork. First thing I need to do is to crimp it to my hoop. This is a 35mm hoop, but you can go with whatever size hoop you like the best. So I've got the 2 ends of my fishing line, and I'm going to thread on a crimp tube, and then I'm going to take my hoop and I'm going to slip the loop into the hoop and pull the crimp tube all the way down. All right, so now I'm going to crimp that crimp tube around my hoop. Make sure that I've pulled it nice and tight. It's gonna shift around a little bit, and that's okay. You want to make sure that it's crimped to the tube like so. Now we have 2 threads that we're going to be working with. I like to do my daisies as a 2-thread stitch instead of 1. And what we're going to do for the first one is we are going to go ahead and take 1 green bead. So these are going to be for our leaves. And we're going to thread 1 green bead on there. Now when you first get started, that's the part that's always kind of fussy, and it's a little bit tricky just to get everything lined up to start with. So we have our 1 green bead. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the first bead of our first color, which we are going to be going with a pink for our first flower. I'm going to take 1 pink bead and I'm going to thread it onto 1 cord, and then I'm going to take my other cord and I'm going to go through the bead from the other direction. So you can see it like so, and I'm going to pull that all the way down to that green bead. So it looks like this. Now what I need to do is I need to take 1 cord. Doesn't really matter which one you grab to start with. And we're going to add 2 more petals. So I got 2 more pink beads. And then we need to add our center bead. So I'm using a yellow for my center. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our cord and we're going to go back up through the 2 pinks, but not that center bead. So not through that yellow one. All right. So it's going to look like this, and we're going to pull that tight all the way down to our hoop. So this is going to create the first half of our first flower. So now we need to take the other cord and we need to add 2 petals to that cord. We don't need to add the center bead because we already have the center of this flower, so we're just going to add 2 petals. And then what we're going to need to do is we need to go down through this yellow one. Okay, so we're going down through the center cord. And that is what it looks like right now. And now we need to go up through those 2 beads we just added. Okay. And now it looks like that. Now we need to add that last top petal. So we need both of our cords for this. We are going to thread 1 bead onto 1 cord. And then we're going to take the other cord and we're going to go through the bead from the opposite direction, like so, and pull that all the way down. You've got your first flower. So next what we need to do is we need to add a green leaf bead to each cord. So it looks like this. Now we need to start our next flower. So we're going to grab our next color, which I'm going to go for a blue one. So we're going to go through with 1, and we need to take our other cord and we need to come from the opposite direction, like so, and pull that all the way down. And that's going to start our next petal. Okay, so once we are here, we've got our first petal for our next flower. We are going to need to take one side and add 2 petals. Add our center of our flower, and then we're going to take our thread, loop it around, and push it back through those 2 petals, but not the center yellow, and pull it all the way down. So now we have the first side of our second flower. We need to take the other cord, and we need to add 2 petals for that side. Okay, so we've got our 2 petals. And now we need to go down through the yellow center. Okay. And then we need to go back up these 2 blue ones that we had just added, so that both of our cords are coming out the top. Now we need to finish this flower by adding 1 more petal to our thread, but what we're going to do is we're going to add it to one side, and then we're going to take the thread on the other side and we're going to go through it like so. And then when we pull it down, that finishes our next flower. So what we need to do next is add our leaves. So 1 green to each side and pull that down like so. And now we can start our third flower. So again, we need both of our threads. We're going to get our next color, which is going to be our purple. We're going to put it on one, and then we're going to take the other side and go back through like so and pull it down. And that is the first petal of our third flower. So now we're going to take one side, add 2 petals, and our center, and then take our cord, loop it around, and push it up through those 2 petals and pull this all the way down. And now you can see we have half of our third flower, so we need to take the other cord and we need to add 2 petals on there. Now it needs to be connected, so we need to go down through the center, pull that down, and we need to go back up through those 2 petals that we had added. So it should look like this, and we need to add 1 more petal to connect everything. So adding a purple to one side, adding the purple, the thread, and going through the purple on that side, pull it down, and ta-da! So now I'm just going to add 2 green leaves and continue adding my flowers till I have enough flowers to wrap around the whole hoop. For this size hoop, I added, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 flowers, but it's going to vary depending on how big your hoop is. So let me go ahead and finish stitching this up, and then we'll show you how to attach it to the hoop. Okay, so I have my beadwork done. I've added my last green bead to both threads and my crimp tube. I'm going to go ahead and just use a bead stopper to hold everything in place until I'm ready to actually attach it on the other side. Because first what we need to do is we need to use some wire to sew our beadwork on. Okay, I have about 1.5 feet of 24 gauge craft wire, and I'm going to wrap it on my hoop a few times just to secure it. All right, I'll clip off that little bit of a tail and kind of squish down that tail into there. All right, so now we have our beadwork here, and we need to stitch through that first seed bead of that first flower. So I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to go through those beads there like that. All right, so I've got my first one. I'm going to open up my hoop. I'm going to go into the hoop, so make sure I'm coming out this other side. And now I need to go through that next petal that's here at the end. So we're just going through the petals at the top and the bottom of all of our flowers. So I'm going to pull that nice and tight, and that's going to get that there. I'm going to loop my wire around into the hoop. So I'm coming from this side, and I'm going to go through that first bead of my next flower. Okay, in through the hoop. So I'm on this side again, and now I'm going through that last petal of the second flower. So we're always going through the first one and the end one. In through the loop, and through that first petal of the purple one. In through the loop, and through the last petal of the purple one. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the inside, where the wires are looping around that hoop part. And this is what it's looking like on this outside, the side that you're gonna see. So I'm just gonna continue on adding all my flowers onto the hoop, and then I'll show you how to end everything off. Okay, so I've wrapped my daisy chain all the way around the hoop, and now it comes time to finish everything off. So what I want to do is take the bead stopper off, and I'm going to wrap my two threads of fishing line around the hoop and go back down through the crimp tube. Okay, so I've got my fishing line wrapped around the hoop and through the crimp tube, and I went through one of the seed beads as well. I'm gonna pull it nice and tight and then take my flat nose and come in and squish it to crimp the crimp and attach it. Now I'm gonna take my cutters and I'm gonna cut off the rest of that fishing line. All right, so that closes off the fishing line portion. Now we need to get rid of the wire. I'm actually gonna wrap on this other side of the crimp to keep it from sliding off our earring part here. So I'm gonna wrap this a couple times. Okay, just like so. Now I'm going to clip the wire off. Make sure I squish down the tail ends. And there we go. There is our hoop. We are all ready for Fiesta. These are super, super cute. Hope you guys enjoyed this project. Thank you for watching. Bye.